As you can see, the freeze has arrived. It's that dreaded time of the year, especially where I'm at, being in Colorado, that everything dies. So I did get out here and I got most of it picked. I had decent enough warning that the freeze was coming. So I got most of the stuff picked. Now the stuff that's left out here, you can still use for seed. And I'm gonna show you some tips and tricks, kind of what I put together at the end of the year. We'll take you with me and we'll pull some stuff off the plants that I'm gonna keep for seed. And I'll show you a couple, because we're at the end of the year, how to save some money for next season. So come along with me and I'll take you around the garden. We'll have a little garden talk. Yes, I know the garden looks ugly. We all hate our garden this time of year because it doesn't look all pretty like it's supposed to. Uh, but this is all part of being a gardener. You can't have the beauty without having the end of season dreary, ugly, dead plants. So, all right, let's go take a look around. I'll show you some tips and tricks and we'll see what we can do. Okay, first things first, I want to get my favorite cherry tomatoes taken off the plant. You can see here, I got you in as close as I could. We've got a ton of them and they grow back in there. They're still good for seed. I went ahead and let them stay on the vine as long as I could. This is why I love these cherry tomatoes. These things are giant. I got them years ago from a place called Montrose Seed Bank. Montrose is about an hour south of me here in Colorado. And they're I forget the name of them. They're an Italian breed. And from what everything online was saying is Italy has a very close climate to what we have here in Western Colorado. So I went ahead and bought them and they produce these giant cherry tomatoes with a mild, not a super sweet cherry tomato taste. So I use them in lieu of big tomatoes when I freeze dry them for powder. So I want to get these off of here and we'll go inside afterwards and get them for seed. Okay, a lot of people ask me why I wait, because we've gone through a week of freeze, but why I wait so long on these seeds. It's something I've learned over time. It's not something that I've studied a bunch on, but year after year I find out the longer you can leave those seeds in the different fruits and vegetables that you're going to harvest from, to me it seems like the better the plant is the next year. So for instance, if you haven't tried the San Marzano tomato, San Marzano is my #1 favorite. I mean, I make salsas out of it. I blend them down and freeze dry it into powder, make spaghetti sauces, you name it. I love the flavor of the San Marzano. But look at this, a week of freezing out here. And if you grow them correctly, I'm up against these bushes is where I do my tomatoes, and I kind of lean them back so they hang off of the back side. They're sheltered from some of the weather at the end of the season, and you can get as much of the genetics into that seed as possible. Here's my garlic bed that I showed you when we did the how to plant garlic video. We are, what, November 2nd or 3rd? Sorry, November 3rd right now. So it's been about a month, I think, since we did that video. Take a look. You can see all the all the garlic sprouting in there. So let's show you kind of what I do now that we're into the cold months and the sun's not doing a whole lot of warming on the soil. Okay, let's take this little second for a, let's not say pro tip, let's say experience tip. How about that? Right now, end of season, if your Home Depot, your local Home Depot still has it, people tend to rush there and get it. But at the end of the season, bone meal and blood meal, they put it on a deep discount. So I buy these for $5 a piece at the end of the season. And you've got, of course, your bone meal that is super high in nitrogen. We're not going to be putting that on right now, but it's good to have at the beginning of the season. And your bone meal, I think I said blood meal, I hope. Blood meal, super high in nitrogen. Bone meal is high in phosphorus and calcium. Don't go rushing out there and think you have to buy it for, so your bone meal is really good for your bulbing plants out there. So like what we're at, garlic right now. So I'm gonna put a top dressing on it before we cover it up for the winter, just because I have it. Most of your soils out there have plenty of it in there. Don't think you have to run out and get amendments just because I said that this is what we're doing. Bone meal definitely helps the bulbing plants. Don't go running out there and spend a bunch of money just because you think it's going to do better. Most of the time, I don't even know. I plant my garden beds pretty heavily. As soon as one thing's done, something else goes into it. But we're going to go over how to mix the soil in a future video as we get closer to next season. So I'll show you how we do that. I already showed you how we enrich it with compost, but we're going to take you through every step of what I do. All right, I'm just going to do a sprinkled on top dressing of the bone meal. Again, don't think you have to have this. You don't. Unless you get a test that says you're deficient, then don't spend too much time. I showed you this in the how to plant garlic video and I kind of talked about it, but here's what I'm going to do. We're just going to cut this open. Now you can kind of see, you might be able to see behind me, it's gloomy. I mean, we're only, what, 40 or 45 degrees, I think, right now. And I'm going to put it on thick for this garlic. Now it works for all your beds. Even if you're not going to plant something in the beds, when you put it to rest for the winter time, you can absolutely, if you're going to put amendments in it, put amendments in it, and then just go through and put a thick layer, kind of like a blanket. I mean, it's a good way to think of it. A lot of years, I've gone through and just used leaves and taken leaves that I raked up out of the yard. But the past couple years, you might be able to see it. They're draining it behind me now. I have a huge canal that runs behind my house, and they went through and concreted the canal when it was drained. So all my giant willow trees that I had back here died. Their roots didn't have that constant water source. And here in western Colorado, our weather's bad. We don't get a whole lot of rain. This year, my subdivision, the irrigation sprinkler system was down. So you're always fighting, the elements, depending on what you're doing. So back to this. If you're going to, you can go through, water it, put your amendments in, mix your soil to top off your raised beds, and then either use leaves, you can use natural organic material. Really doesn't matter. I always put at least one bag of compost down and spread it out, most of the time two, and then I cover everything really heavy with a mulch. And for me, the pine shavings, of course you can see where it came from, but the pine shavings are cheap and they do a really good job of keeping my garlic and anything else I'm going to have in the bed a nice blanket for the winter time. The last thing I like to do, I bought these off of Amazon. They're all adjustable. You can go through and set them up how you want. But I take these and push them down in the soil. I go down until this connector gets to the bottom of the soil. There, you didn't have to be bored watching me do all that. And I ordered this. It's just insect and bird barrier. I put it over so it's got a nice tunnel. Now the thing I learned, you'd be kind of shocked, it actually holds some heat in there as well. But it holds elements off. It does come with, what do they call it on here? A drawstring that you can pull around it. Or you can buy this just stretchy 550 cord. This one's actually been out here. I picked it up off the ground, as you can see, and I just tie it around the base. But it gives a added level of protection to your garlic that's going to be out here all winter long. And where I'm at here in Colorado, you just never know how that winter is going to be. So you want to make sure, take whatever steps you have to. I don't know if it works or if it helps or not, but I get good garlic. Okay, I didn't do a video on it when I planted it because I actually got it planted late. Life got in the way, and trust me, when you're a gardener, life does get in the way. I went ahead and planted some broccoli out here, and I didn't think it was going to take off too well, but it seems like it's still doing all right. So we're going to see. Again, we've entered November now in Colorado, so it's going to be a crapshoot to see if it makes it or not. But I'm going to take you on the journey with me, whether it is a pass or a fail. This, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, this was my raised bed strawberry garden. Now, to be honest, they didn't do so well. I really had high hopes about growing strawberries. This last year, they were really bad. Now, I do know that it's supposed to be, 5 years, I think, and then they slow down on production. I didn't quite get that. But I did get some good strawberries. I mean, it wasn't a failure by any means. It just really, I mean, I went into it with some enthusiasm. like I was going to be Strawberry King or something, you know, and that didn't happen. So I'm going to go through and pull out all the strawberries, and then we'll put a bunch of compost in here, get it covered up, and we're going to plant regular stuff in it next year. So let me know what you think we should plant in here. Here's a quick look I just wanted to show you. So all these over here from my onion harvesting video, these were the volunteer tomatoes, and if you look up here, you can kind of see some yellow ones in there. I didn't get a lot. They kind of sprouted up late in the season, but I did get some before the frost. Now we're going to go over here and we're going to get the rest of the Jamaican Scotch bonnets. I get a lot of people ask me to kind of show a little more about when you pull these pepper plants out, and let me just kind of show you, but I won't bore you with having to watch me go through and get all the Scotch bonnets off. One thing, if you grow sunflowers, keep the sunflower stalks the next year. You can use them as plant stakes and trellises. They're amazing. Okay, let's see if I can even do this, but check it out. When you pull your big pepper plants, you're going to get one heck of a root ball. So I go through, maybe not as much as I should. Hey, so people who say that we don't get worms in raised bed, yeah, we do. So I just go through, shake off all this soil. I'll pull off all of these and then I'll top dress it with a bunch of compost. And then start of next season, I'll put some compost, some nutrients in it, kind of till it up, and it's ready to go again. All right, here's my ugly Big Jim pepper patch. These seeds are still good. Don't be afraid to pull these seeds out and give yourself an abundance for next year. When you plant on large scale or small scale, nowadays, saving money is a big deal. So keep your seeds, especially you can keep the seeds for yourself from the biggest peppers or biggest vegetables that you have out there, and keep those genetics and keep them going year after year. When you keep seeds going year after year, think about how much money that saves. I know it sounds like a little bit, but from one Big Jim green chili, you can get up to 100 seeds out of that thing. One of your biggest ones are going to keep you going next year, and every year they tend to, not always, but my experience is they tend to get bigger and bigger. I'm part of a lot of these seed trade groups on Facebook, and it's so funny how many times that someone will say, well, kind of like my red cayenne, they'll say something about, you know, I need some cayenne seeds, and I'm like, you know, I respond back with, I've got an amazing red cayenne seed, you know, I've been keeping the seeds for 20 years. And I always get the same type of response of, what's so special about it that you kept it going for 20 years? What's so special about it? What's so special is I don't have to spend the money on it next year. And they do tend to get better every year. But it's all about saving money. And once you find something you like, just keep it going. And who knows, someday maybe my grandkids will grow my seeds. Here it is. This is the one I probably got the most questions about. And shockingly, in the beginning of this YouTube channel, the most likes and views on was the one I titled Bull Shishito. So if you haven't watched that video, go back there and it's a really short one. It's one of my very first ones. But these were supposed to be Ancho Poblano. They turned out to be Shishito. That's okay. I'm keeping the seeds from them. So you can see that the freeze has taken these over. I'm going to go through and pull all these dark red ones off of here, and we're going to have them for seed next year. I just want to show you, it's not all rainbows and butterflies. So check this out. This is that ahi, I think it's called Cherapita. Look at that. That's embarrassing. This little plant did squat. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't get any off of them. This is the only thing that happened. It was at the end of the year and it was already too late. It's okay though. You'll have your success. You'll have your failure. Don't worry about it. See if I can hurry and do this part before my basset hound starts barking. Guess not. Okay, here's my in-ground bed that I did all the Carolina Reapers. I did get them picked and out of here, most of them. Are the ones I wanted before the frost, and I got about a 5-gallon bucket, so that went really good. She doesn't want to go. Oh, there she is. Okay, there's the noisemaker. She's in the other part of the backyard. Miss Maggie, say hi to everybody. If you can see these clouds up here behind me, we're getting some rain already. Trying to keep up with making a video every week, so I wanted to get out here and do it so I could release it on Monday again. But I just wanted to take the time to show you, you get your successes, you get your failures, kind of show you about garden cleanup at the end of the year. Thinking about possibly doing some lives. I haven't tried that yet. I'm honestly shocked that I've gotten this response off of the channel already. So I don't know how a live would do or not, but I'm thinking about doing some live videos when I'm packaging up seeds and maybe do some giveaways. We're a community out here. We need to work together. We gotta bring gardening back. Years ago, they called them freedom gardens. Everybody had a garden in their backyard. We weren't so dependent on the system, and we've got to get back to not being dependent on the system. That's where the chili prepper comes into play. If you haven't figured out, yes, I'm a giant prepper. I'm former military. Most of us are preppers. But the biggest part of prepping for me is the garden. You've got to get out there and plant. Now, it's not going to solve all your food problems, but you're going to eat cleaner. You're going to eat healthier. You're going to know exactly where it came from, and you're going to save money in the process. Not to mention, get your kids out in the garden. Show them where their food comes from. It's going to create generations deep. Trust me, they listen. If I can find it, I'll put it on this video. My mom sent me a picture. I think I was 4 years old, or I was 4 or 5 years old before we moved out of that house. So I was about 4 or 5 years old in that picture. And it's so funny. It was in the 70s, red denim jeans. That kind of shows you the time frame, no shirt on. But I'm holding my first ear of corn that I grew. Now, did I grow it? Not really. My parents did, but I was part of it. So to me, I grew it. Fast forward from 4 or 5 years old, I'm in my 50s now, and I'm still gardening. If that doesn't show you that what you do with your kids hangs around and sticks with them, then I don't know what's going to. We have to create generations that know how to do things for themselves. So get out there and grow. You know what? Those of you who stuck around to the end of this video, my email is thechiliprepper@gmail.com. It's CHILI, thechiliprepper@gmail.com. Send me an email. If any of these plants that I've shown you in the last few months of the start of this channel interest you and you want to grow them, shoot me an email, tell me what it is, and I'll send you a pack of seeds. You're the first that have stuck with me. I can't believe I just crossed 150 followers. I never thought when I started this that was going to happen. I figured the old guy was going to be talking to air out there, and I really didn't care. I like the idea that my kids and my grandkids will have these videos of me around to hopefully inspire them when I'm gone to keep this going. It's something that we need to do. So, thechiliprepper@gmail.com. Send me an email if there's something specific you've seen on this channel that you want to grow. I do know that I've got quite a few Carolina Reaper seeds that are ready to roll right now. So if you've ever thought about it, you know they're not cheap. Get a hold of me. It's as simple as an email. It doesn't get any easier than that. Remember, you don't have to be a prepper to be prepared. Stay safe out there and keep growing.